Welcome to the biology of addiction. Why do we need to understand the biology, the science behind what is happening? Well, for me, for many years, I didn't know it. And then when I did, something kind of clicked. And it clicked on two levels. One, it was really interesting to understand the real process that happens for us at a biological and neurological level, right? Like that alone gave me clarity. But the second part is it gave me separation. What is happening when we are in a craving and then stuck in a pattern, right? In a loop that we don't want to do, that has us do the thing that is hurting us, and we want to stop and we can't. What happens is real at the level of science. When we know that there is an actual process, physical, mental, emotional, that is clearly defined, then we can separate that from our behavior. So let's talk about the biology, the science. Our mind is designed to protect us. Our mind is designed to help us survive. And so there are, from the age of the caves, processes that as humans, our mind tagged as good, survival mechanisms. This is great. No, this is not great. Like when you're a kid and you do something that hurts you, let's say, oh, pretty flame, and you put your finger in the pretty flame and it hurts. There's a mechanism that will never let you go and put your hand willingly in the flame. However, our mind, when it comes to drinking or using a drug or what have you, doesn't protect us like that. And it has to do with our mind being out of balance. So let's talk about what balance and out of balance looks like when it comes to these processes of living and surviving. Let's use the example of a caveman. A caveman leaves their cave and they go out, they're hungry, they hunt, they get the prey, they come back to the cave, they cook it, they eat, they are happy. 3 areas of the brain create tagging of this activity that was a survival-based activity. The first is called the VTA, the ventral tegmental area. This part of the brain basically sends the signal through dopamine. So this is like the factory, right? Dopamine gets produced and sent. It sends a signal that says, hey, this was good. Like, pay attention. This process that just happened was good. The one that catches that signal is called the nucleus accumbens. The nucleus accumbens basically receives that signal and says, oh, yes, this actually worked. Let's give it a gold star. Gold star, check mark. Good, yeah, awesome. And then this guy over here, our prefrontal cortex, which basically is like the judge that gives a yay or a nay. This is wise. Good, let's do it. This is not wise. Let's not do it. So this one has the capacity to put the brakes. So I want you to think, and this is a beautiful analogy that Anna Lemke, who is a neuroscientist, and she explains this reward system very much as the accelerator, right? Like pushing on the gas of a car. It tells you go. Whereas this guy right here, the frontal cortex, is very much like the brakes, is the one that says, no, wait. And this then gets balanced. That is the way that it's supposed to be. Now let's move into the other environment where things are not in balance. I'm going to use me as an example. So instead of getting hungry like the caveman, I get thirsty. Let's call it thirsty. And I go out and I drink. And I don't drink one, I drink a lot. And the substance, the chemistry in alcohol, is designed to produce a much larger hit of dopamine than my VTA is designed to have. And so instead of producing a little dopamine that says, yes, this is good, pay attention, this one all of a sudden produces a ton of dopamine and says, phenomenal, we're gonna learn this and do this every time. And then the nucleus accumbens receive this very, very loud signal and says, oh, 17 gold stars, not one, 17. This is the bomb. Like the reward is all of a sudden like magnified tenfold. My mind has learned that this is gonna get me to feel better very quickly. and it's going to work every time. And here's the problem, because now the gas, the accelerator, has been pushed to the max. It's going really, really fast. It's out of bounds. The prefrontal cortex, that is in fact in charge of making all of the decisions that keep me alive, gets overridden. The signal is so very loud and so high that this one all of a sudden gets drowned. And that's the problem. Because if you can imagine, now we have a lot of speed, right? And there's no brakes. And so this is now a system that is out of balance. My mind, your mind, our minds are not designed for this level of activity. Now we have this high amount of dopamine. And our brain is created for homeostasis. Our brain wants to come back to balance. And so now, if you can imagine like a balance, right? Like a seesaw. Now we have this lots of dopamine. And what happens in our brain is that once it has this peak of dopamine, it can't sustain it and it crashes. So after you're done with the drink or the drug, you know how you feel good for a while, and then you crash. And it doesn't crash to the baseline, it crashes proportionately, right? Under. And this feels the opposite of good. This is pain. This is pain. This is why we start to feel the desire to come back to stasis. Perhaps not to go all the way over here, but we need a lot to travel from here to back up here. This is when the dopamine dragon, the one that says, I want dopamine. We'll talk more about the dopamine dragon. I love it. He roars. And the craving is the signal for the dopamine dragon to get fed. Because what the craving is asking us is to go back here, because the mind has tagged this whole thing as a process of survival that is equal to breathing or eating. It is that imprint that makes us feel desperate. This whole thing that I explained to you, the neurobiology that drives the addiction process, is so very real, because it gets very clearly out there the fact that our mind is unavailable. The tools that you are learning today are meant to create that space in between you and your last drug of choice. In this space, you can go and do the deeper work. This is where you do the rewiring. This is where you get your community. This is where you actually do the work to go from the person that's always relying on the external, the substance or the behavior, to someone who self-sources from the inside. That's what I teach. Okay?